Hey guys, welcome to another video and thanks for clicking on this one. In this particular video, I want to share with you some of the things that I've learned on my journey as an immigrant in the United States. I have to be honest. A lot of this come from my own experience. That means the mistakes I've made, and a lot of times we don't want to talk about the mistakes we've made. We always want to talk about the wins. We don't want to talk about the losses. And those losses are often what makes us better. Those are the things that will hopefully prevent us from making similar mistakes or prevent us from making mistakes that are costlier, right? So I'm going to get into it. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thanks for clicking on this video. Know that I have a job that requires me to be very dynamic in my lifestyle. And that means that sometimes I'm working at night, sometimes I'm working during the day. So I struggle with consistency. I'm just giving you a heads up. But I enjoy what I do here, and I hope that I can continue to share this information with those of you who may find it valuable. So let's get into it. The first things that you need to understand, and I say things because it's a couple of things, okay? When I left, I grew up in Nigeria. When I left Nigeria, I came to the United States. One of the biggest, I guess, things I didn't really understand was credit. I don't know how it is in Nigeria. I mean, from what I know, the credit system in Nigeria doesn't really exist, even though they're trying to implement something similar at this point. But at the time, this was over 15 years ago, I didn't really know much about credit, right? And moving into a new country, all that I knew was credit card was bad, avoid it like a plague, don't get it, don't get close to it, never use it. Those were the things I knew. And of course, as a good steward of my money, so I thought, I stayed away from credit. And in as much as that was a good thing to an extent, there is always a point when these things start to hurt you. And that's something that nobody talks about. Well, I'm going to share one of them with you, and maybe a couple of them. So when I moved here, I didn't get credit cards. I never took any personal loans, things like that. And that meant that I never had a credit. 3 years down the line, I got to a point when I had a roommate, as a student, all that stuff, right? So the credit thing wasn't really of importance. I mean, all I knew was before you could rent a place, all you needed was put down a down payment. If you wanted to set up your utility bill, all you needed to do was to put in a down payment. So all these deposits were required, but I didn't really understand them. All I thought the reason back then was because I was a student. So sure. So when I finally transitioned out of a student status, I quickly realized that it wasn't because I was a student. It was because I didn't have a credit. I didn't have any history, and I didn't have anything to show that I would pay them if, for example, I got that credit card, or for example, I got the apartment, and there wasn't any form of history about me, especially regarding my finances. So guess what? When it was time for me to live on my own, one of the things I realized was I needed to come up with a down payment alone, which was expensive. I needed to put on the utility bills or utility deposit, which was also expensive. So I'm like, why? Oh, because you don't have any credit history. Do you have a credit score? No. Do you have anything to show? I was like, no. So I was penalized for not having credit, which meant because I didn't take that credit card, or I never took it out, I never established any form of history about myself regarding my finances. So the next thing that came along with that was when it was time for me to buy a car. Now, initially when I bought a car used, beat up. Of course, as you may know, as a student, you didn't really care about, you just needed something to get around, right? So when it was time for me to buy something better, wasn't fantastic, right? But it was better than what I started with, more reliable, right? They needed me to put down, oh, what, do you have credit history? I'm like, no. Guess what? They told me my interest rates will be around 15%. And I would have to put down half of the money. Now, this was from a mom and pop kind of dealership, but still they needed to get all my documents. They needed to show that I've been consistent with my payments, like my utility bills, and then to show all these things. And of course, they then hammered me with high interest rates. And the guy, and mind you, this was a time when interest rate was the average on a vehicle, maybe around, if I remember correctly, maybe around 7%, 8%. But I was almost double that value, about 16, 15 something percent. So, and I would have to put down almost half of the down payment. So I was like, wait, all because I didn't have credit. Guess what? I couldn't buy the vehicle. I had to, pull out of the purchase and say, you know what? That makes no sense. There's no way I'm going to buy a vehicle that is, I think I only wanted to buy the vehicle for like maybe 5,000, maybe 6,000 or so, right? There's no way I'm going to put that down. And then almost by the time I paid off, I would have paid back only maybe about 12,000, almost double the amount because of just interest rates and number of years that I was signing up for. So I was like, no, this doesn't make any sense. So I didn't proceed with it. But what I needed to do was what? I had to hold on to the car that I had. All that to say, I quickly learned that in as much as I wanted to save and avoid credit and all this stuff, I was also hurting myself. So I decided at that point that, okay, I'm going to get a starter credit card. And a starter credit card is, think about it like a secured credit card is generally what they call it. If you're not familiar with that, look it up on Google. I'm sure if you're an immigrant and you don't have any credit history or you're a student, even if you're not sure if you're going to stay in the United States for long, still go get a secured credit card because it's going to save you in the long run. And that was what I did. So I went on, get a credit card. I think it was about $500, but I had to put down $500 as a security, right? Just in case I didn't pay it back. So I ended up using that card for some time. Eventually I transitioned to a regular credit card and, the rest is history. But the point here is there was an initial setback that I experienced because of that. Next thing is you have to understand that when you have this credit card, the goal is not to spend all that you're allowed or allotted, or in this case, we call it usage rate, or there's a term for it, I can't remember at the top of my head right now. But the point here is you have to always consider how much that credit card allows you to spend, and you should try to use maybe no more than 30% of that amount. So for easy numbers, let's assume that the credit card allows you to spend $100. You shouldn't spend up to $30 on that. Of course, if it's a $1,000 credit card limit, don't spend more than $300. If it's a $10,000 credit card limit, don't spend more than $3,000. The idea is that you always want to keep that usage, or again, there's a technical term or term for it, which I'm not getting correctly. It's not coming to me at this point. But you always want to keep it low, and that is because it shows that you are managing your money well and you're not overextending yourself. And please pay off your credit card on a regular basis. If you do not pay it off on a regular basis, credit cards have an average interest rate of around 20-25%, and there is no way you can pay that. Or let me say this, there's no way you would make that type of money back on any other thing you do. 20%, 25% is ridiculous. The stock market returns an average of about 6 to 8%. So you invest in the difference, and trying to not pay off a credit card is not a wise move. So it's always better to make sure you pay off a credit card on a regular basis. Now, as an immigrant, that is the aspect of credit card and the lessons and what it has done, or in ways it hurt me. Okay. Looking back, I would have opened that secured credit card sooner. I would have at least established some credit history so that way going forward, or at the time when I wanted to sign up for a rent or wanted to pay my utility bill, or at least set up an account for utilities, I wasn't required to put down that deposit and all this stuff. Okay, so that was one thing. The second thing that I would like to say is, as an immigrant, it is important to know that your journey when it comes to your finances, all right, you are not starting where your mates who were born here wouldn't have to go through the struggle that you likely go through or you are going through. You guys are not starting at the same place. And a good example that I'm going to share with you is, there was a friend I had who was born here, and his own parents at a young age opened up a credit card for him in his name with his social security number. If you don't know what that is, just check it on Google. they were able to use that social security number in his name on his card, in this case his credit card, which it wasn't for him. They were just using it to build history for him. The reason is because when it comes to your credit history, that also matters. How long you've had it, any delinquencies, any negative derogatory remarks, things like that. They always want to see that you had it for a long time and you had good payment history, good record. For somebody like him who was born here and his parents already took the steps to set him up right, he doesn't have to go through the things that I'm going through. So for example, if two of us are trying to rent a place and they see his own history and I do not have an history, guess what? They prefer to give that place to him. Same thing with some jobs. They look at their history, they look at somebody like me, they see that no history, they prefer to give that person that job. And by the way, your social security number can be, sometimes they could do background checks to check for those kind of things. So what I'm trying to get at is, sometimes you cannot compare your journey to those who were born here, who are born here. And those are some of the there's so much more that I can get into when it comes to this particular story. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is that your journey is unique. And that's one of the reasons why I have this channel, because I'm trying to share some of the things that I've gone through, the mistakes I've made, the things I'm doing, right? But I'm not comparing myself to those that were here, because most of the time, people like myself are starting over again. Most of the time we come here to go to more school, we come over here to start a new job with no experience, and whatever experience we had in our country or wherever you came from doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, it look at it as, well, it wasn't in the States, so it doesn't count. And especially if you're coming from maybe Africa and all. So my desire, or my advice to you, is that to make sure that you're not looking at that as your comparison. Now, they always say that comparison is a thief of joy, and that is true. You're not comparing yourself to determine how happy you are, but you're comparing yourself to see what are the things you can do to hopefully step up your game. And that leads me to the subject of investing. Right. One of the things that we have done in our lives all along to get to this point, or to get here, is to aspire to achieve, to do great things, right? And a lot of times that led us to go into more school, that led us to doing well, or maybe motivated us to focus on getting the best paying job, all of that, whatever the stuff may be, become a doctor, become a lawyer, an engineer, all of that. But at the end of the day, if you start earning this money and you are not putting that money to work for you, guess what? You will continue to work forever. And we tend to forget that the biggest asset that we have when it comes to investing and saving is time, which means that, back to what I was saying, a lot of times we've left our country. So we've spent maybe 2-3 decades of our lives in a different place. We move into this country, whether it's the UK, US, Australia, and Canada, wherever, right? And then we're starting over again. So we've already lost maybe 3 decades of our lives. Like I said to you, a friend of mine or in comparison to somebody who grew up here, maybe his parents already set him up. Maybe his parents already started an account for him at a very young age. So he's already built up maybe thousands of dollars in a savings, in an investment account. Whereas you are just getting started and you even don't know what you're doing yet. So understand that time is of importance, and it's critical for you now, because you've spent maybe 2.5 decades, maybe 3 decades of your life in a different place with zero investments or zero savings. And now you are then comparing your lifestyle to those who didn't have to go through that same struggle, who were born here. Maybe people who they already set up for a better life in terms of having all this type of assets given to them, or maybe their parents already planned it. We don't have that. So we are starting from bare minimum, ground zero. And that means that we have to work maybe twice as hard. We have to give sacrifices or make sacrifices maybe twice as much. Maybe we have to live below our means maybe twice as much. Now, that doesn't mean that you live like, nobody. But what I'm trying to say is that you have to make sacrifices that may be counterintuitive. You have to watch how you spend your money. You have to watch what loans you get. You have to watch how you spend your money, because that money that you are getting now, hopefully, needs to be invested so that you can continue to grow that asset, because you are not trying to catch up. Because remember, life is not about catching up to anybody, but you're trying to set yourself up for a better future. And because the time that you've lost it's not time you can make up again. You can't go back 30 years. You only have the runway in front of you. It's like you can't go back in time. You can only look forward, and that means that you have to make use of now. They always say that the best time to invest was yesterday. The second best time is today. So if you haven't started investing, if you haven't started saving, if you haven't started putting money away for your future, today is the day. I hope that you found value in this one. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. I'd love to see you in the future one.